All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the South Texas High School Baseball Podcast. My name is Marcus, and today I've got a very special host on, or a very special guest, excuse me, someone I've been trying to have on for a few months now, just trying to make it work, but he's now a head softball coach down in Kingsville. So he's got a bit of a busy schedule doing his own thing now, but I'm here with Orlando Salinas. Coach, well, less of a coach, more of a friend at this point, having known you a couple of years now. But thank you for being here. I appreciate you making the time to come out. I know you came straight from Kingsville, but very, very excited to have you on and talk about everything baseball, softball, and everything about your family. Just really excited to have you on.
It's my pleasure. I mean, I've been looking forward I've been seeing you guys doing these podcasts, and I know we've been trying to get together, but my schedule kind of slowed down. So I was like, let's get together. Let's do it.
Yeah, well, all right. So we'll jump right into it. Coach, give us kind of your background on who the Salinas family is and just kind of the legacy that has been built over the last few decades of baseball and softball in the Coastal Bend.
Well, I mean, it all starts with my dad, Coach Hector Salinas. I mean, he was, a lot of people call him the founding father, of South Texas baseball. He started the Moody Magic in the 70s, and then he went on to start Texas Southmost College.
Yeah.
And then he ended up going to Laredo Junior College and started the Laredo Junior College program. And then he went to A&M-Kingsville and started A&M-Kingsville's baseball program. And then he finished at Texas A&M Corpus Christi, where he started that program. So he started every program here in South Texas and collegiate level. And from there, I mean, my family, we're all about coaching, so my sister Paula Salinas, she's the head softball coach at Veterans Memorial. She was at Moody High School for many years. Now she's at Veterans, and they had a great run this year. And then my brother's at London, and they had a great run over there at London 4 years in a row going to state. And then myself, I'm at A&M, Texas A&M University Kingsville, and I'm the head softball coach there. And so that's what we do. We were players collegiately, and then and now we're coaching and we're giving back just like my dad did. And so it's really fulfilling, as a son, and and my sister, we talk all the time about, my dad would be super proud, if he was still here with us. And it's been a couple years now that he's passed, but we're just, he left a legacy, and we're just following in his footsteps, and so we're very proud.
Yeah, absolutely. So after having started a couple programs, did it get to the point where your dad was just kind of the go-to guy, like every time a program was considering starting up, right? So Kingsville and Corpus, right, in the later years, was it just an easy decision for them? Do you have any insight on that? Like, hey, he's got the experience, he knows what it takes to establish a program from the ground up. Just kind of, if you have any insight on that.
Yeah, no, like I said, he started the Moody Magic in the 70s when he took over at Moody High School. The year before he got there, they were 2-19. He took over, and they were 19-2, and then he never looked back. And so he built that to where people would literally make their vacation plans around Moody baseball, because they were so fun to watch, and they were going deep in the playoffs every year. And from there, like I said, the colleges started calling, and he started starting these programs in South Texas, and it just, I think God had a plan for him, and all he was doing was following it. He was just, at the same time that he was starting these programs, he's giving many, many kids opportunities to play at the collegiate level. Colleges were not coming down south to get players, and so it was prime picking for him, and he gave many, many coaches in this area an opportunity to play college baseball, which turned into many of them turn into college, high school coaches around the area. So it's when you look back on it, man, what a ride he had. And now that we're following in his footsteps, I find myself giving, girls from South Texas an opportunity to play at the college level. And I now understand why he did it for so long, because it's, you're fulfilling people's dreams, lifelong dreams. And it's a special, it's a special gift to be able to do that. And my dad did it for over 40 years.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. Speaking of giving the opportunity to some local South Texas girls, I'm sure you'll have plenty to choose from after those deep runs and state championships that came out of the Valley and Calallen this past year. I'm sure you were tuned in to watching those games. No?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's good and it's bad, because it's opening up the eyes of these scouts up north. And I'm like, that's not good for me. I mean, I wanted to keep this a secret over here. And I've been all over the state recruiting, from Dallas to Houston to, I mean, you name it, we've been there. And I come back and I said, the best talent is in South Texas, and so I was like, if these schools up north don't want to come, don't come. I'll take them all, and myself at A&M-Kingsville and A&M Corpus, we have a lot of South Texas kids, and so it's a gold mine. And it wasn't a surprise to me that the Valley had two teams in Weslaco and Harlingen South, because I mean, they have so many arms down there. They have so many good players, and it's untapped. So, Weslaco winning the state championship in 6A, we committed their third baseman, in the summer. So it was really nice seeing her, really, succeed and lead. She was the leadoff hitter for him. And so it's been fun to see. We're going to recruit a lot of those girls this summer, take more looks at them, but the Valley has a lot of players. And then, Teresa at Calallen, I mean, she's building a dynasty there. She's got some great players there. And so it's a good time, at Veterans Memorial. They made a run. I thought they were going to meet Harlingen South to go to the state tournament, and they were one series short. But, I mean, she had 5 or 6 girls, already committed. Mm-hmm. So it's an exciting time here in South Texas for softball, so we're looking forward to seeing what the future holds.
Yeah. Does your sister give you the inside scoop on the players there at Vets?
Yeah. So she's got some good players. And she also, when they play other teams, she calls me and goes, hey, look, there's a player over here. There's a player over there. We always say you never know who's in the stands, so you got to play hard. Well, I've got my sister. I've got a lot of local coaches, like Corky's sister is the head softball coach at London. So she's doing her thing at London. My sister's doing her thing at Vets. And these coaches, once they play other teams, they call me and they're just like, hey, there's a player over here. And so they're like my recruiters, underground recruiters. So it's been fun.
Well, that's cool. I hadn't even considered that possibility of, teams that she's playing against. Like, hey, they got this girl out in the outfield, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's really cool. Let's go back a little bit to your playing days, because you've got a pretty cool story as well. I believe it ends a little bit with you playing pro down in Mexico, if I'm correct. Mm-hmm. So let's just kind of walk everyone through your playing career, from high school, college to those pro days.
Well, I started at Moody High School, and we had some great teams, and we really had some really good players there. And from there, like I said, they weren't coming down south to see us. So, man, I remember I went to Euclid, Ohio, and Youngstown, Ohio to play. We took a bunch of good players from here. And Brooks Kieschnick was on that team. Another guy, Jaime Cepeda, who played in the pros from Sinton. We had a lot of good players. And we went over there, and I won the batting title for that tournament, I remember. And my dad was there just as a fan, and he was sitting next to a scout. he didn't know who it was. And the scout was like, hey, do you know that switch hitting center fielder, who it is? And he's like, yeah. His name is Salinas. He didn't even tell him that he was my dad. And he said, hey, I really, really like him. He can hit. But that tournament, I was really hot. And so my dad being the coach that he is, he says, hey, I'm going to give you another name and you need to get on him. And he goes, his name is Brooks Kieschnick. He goes, if you get Brooks Kieschnick, you're going to take me to eat a steak every time you see me, right? And so he liked me, and he gave him the name of Brooks Kieschnick. And as soon as I got back, I realized that it was Mississippi State. So Mississippi State started sending me stuff. Mississippi State started sending Brooks Kieschnick stuff. And I read in the paper, Brooks Kieschnick commits to Mississippi State. And me, I had to wait because I didn't have my SAT scores.
Yeah.
And so, but he did, and he committed to Mississippi State. And so I had to end up going to junior college. And then Brooks Kieschnick decommits and goes to Texas and played at UT. And he became, the player of the year and he ended up making the big leagues. But so I ended up going to junior college, Alvin Junior College. And then after that, I went to Tarleton State. And my dad at the time was coaching at Moody. And so I thought, I'm going to finish my career at Tarleton State. And then he got the job at A&M-Kingsville. So when that happened, man, a bunch of us, we left the schools we were at and we came and played for him.
Really?
And we had a good career there at A&M-Kingsville. And man, we were one pitch away, I think 1 out away from winning the conference championship on year one. But it was fun. We got all back together at A&M-Kingsville, and then I started coaching with him when I finished. And then the Corpus Christi Barracudas came into town, which was a pro team.
Okay.
And independent pro team. And they had a bunch of big leaguers on that team. And there was a guy, well, I'll tell you what, he's the head football coach at Moody. His name is Mike Anthu. Mm-hmm. So Mike Anthu was on the team, and Mike had just gotten released from the St. Louis Cardinals, and he was going to play on that team. And he called me one night, and he was like, hey, they've gone all over the country looking for a left-handed pitcher. Why don't you come, and throw for them? So I went in the morning and I threw for him. And I remember I threw less than 10 pitches. And the guy couldn't believe that I hadn't pitched, professionally. And I told him I was a center fielder / pitcher, but it was crazy because he took 10 pitches, signed me, and I pitched for the Corpus Christi Barracudas. And then when I was done there, I went to the Mexican League, and I went with Saltillo, and I went and pitched over there a couple seasons. And then I called it a career, and I opened my baseball academy, and I continued to coach with my dad because at that time, after that, he had gone to A&M Corpus. So I started being his assistant at A&M Corpus, opened my academy, and that's just all my life. That's all we've done is help kids, train kids. And I blinked my eye, and now I'm at A&M-Kingsville, So I went back for a little bit and coached softball there at A&M Corpus Christi for a couple seasons. And then A&M Corpus Kingsville opened up, and I'm there, and I'm loving it, man. I love it. I'm having a good time. I'm a baseball guy, but man, I'm really enjoying the softball world. It's exciting. It's fun.
Yeah. And you've got the personal tie to softball. Your daughter played in college, mm-hmm. and she was pretty good from what I remember. I'm not super familiar with it, but kind of talk about her career and coaching her up and her high school career a little bit, and then playing in college.
Yeah. So my daughter growing up was a really good athlete. My wife was a college athlete too. She ran track at A&M-Kingsville, and she was a mid-distance cross-country athlete there, all conference. She made All-American. And so when my daughter was growing up, I didn't really want her to be playing softball or baseball because it's just with her name and everything, there was going to be a lot of expectations, and a lot of pressure. Mm-hmm. And I just said, hey, go do an individual sport. I wanted to play golf. I wanted to, something individual. She took to running, and she never lost a race in the 7th grade, in the 8th grade, went into high school, varsity, cross country, all district. I mean, running I thought was her deal. And she went to state in cross country. And her freshman year, she goes, cross country is the first sport every season. She goes and tears it up. Then she goes into volleyball, varsity, goes into basketball, varsity. My dad told her, hey, why don't you just go out for softball? Because she had played when she was 12. Mm-hmm. And so he goes, why don't you go out and maybe you'll be a pinch runner, maybe, you just go out there and you don't know, you might make the team. And
where'd she go to high school?
She went to King.
Okay,
King High School. So the backstory on my daughter is that I had a baseball academy, and at 10 years old, I needed another player, and she was there, and I said, hey, go stand in right field. So that I won't, forfeit. So she went out there, and sure enough, next inning, she's leading off. And I said, okay, no big deal. Just stand there. Well, first pitch hits her in the ribs, and she vowed never to play baseball, softball. And so I thought I lost her. I was like, well, she's not going to play. And so my dad had convinced her to go out for the softball team her freshman year. She goes out, makes the varsity. Man, all of a sudden something clicked, and she made all district as a freshman. Sophomore year, it just kind of took a mind of its own. And then her junior year, she went to state in cross country. And I said, you'll know at the state meet if these big D1s are after you. You'll know. And I said, and then you can decide, hey, do I want to do cross country, or what sport am I supposed to really pursue? So a lot of mid-majors were after her, D2s. And then that summer in softball, all of a sudden, schools started popping up, colleges, big schools. And so I said, this might be her sport, softball. And she had originally committed to Notre Dame. And it was kind of like my story. Her ACT or SAT had to be real high. She had to make a 29, and a 32 or 35 was like perfect. She needed the standards real high at Notre Dame. Yeah. So they said, hey, you commit, and then you get to take the ACT, SAT. As soon as you get your grade, you're in. So she committed to Notre Dame, and she took the test like 5 times and finally got she got a 28, 27. And it wasn't good enough to get in. So she ended up going to Ole Miss, which is in the SEC. So she committed to Ole Miss and went over there and played for a season. And then she ended up transferring and ended up at Duke University. So she played at Duke for 4 years, graduated, was team 1 at Duke to team 4. And she had a good career. She ended up getting her master's from Duke. She got another master's now from Florida State, and she's working on her doctorate in Colorado. Wow. So she's going to be a doctor of sports psychology, and we're just super proud. We always say, you need to use softball. Don't let softball use you. And she is a prime example of that. She was, a lot of doors opened for her because of softball. And now she helps a lot of girls on the mental side of their sport. She helps golfers. She helps athletes in general all over the country. And so I'm looking forward to her in a couple of years getting her doctorate and doing, her passion, which is helping athletes. So that was I trained her to get into that softball world, and then my son at the same time, he's at Kansas State. He's a college athlete. He's a shortstop. Originally, he had signed with Oklahoma State, played the first year at Oklahoma State, and then the position coach left. He got in the portal, ended up at Kansas State, and man, he's had a good career. He's just been hurt a lot, so you got to stay healthy, and he's had like 5 surgeries through his career.
Yeah.
But hey, we can't complain. They both have played at the highest level. One of our big milestones for my son was they ended up playing last year Oklahoma State in the Big 12, and he came up and he hit a home run against Oklahoma State, and that was pretty special because they had brought in their closer. He was throwing 95, 96, 97, and he got on one and he hit a home run, and so that's a pretty cool moment for us, But yeah, we've had this game of baseball and softball has given us, our family so much, and we're just so tickled to death to be able to ride the wave that my dad built for us, and it's given us so much happiness, and so it's special when I can give another girl an opportunity, family, an opportunity to do what we did. I tell them all the time, I'm not just a coach, a head coach. I'm a dad, I'm a dad of a former softball player, and I'm a dad of a current college athlete. So I understand the ups and downs and the calls that they're calling their parents, that they're not doing well, or they're struggling, or they're missing home. Like I got all those calls, so I understand them. And so, I keep that all the time in the forefront when they're struggling. I understand, and they need to understand that I'm a dad, and I can relate to all the ups and downs of the game. So it's been fun.
Yeah. I'm sure it's very relatable when you see parents in the stands at the games and stuff like that. I'm sure you think back to your days, or whenever you're not in the midst of coaching and you're able to go watch your son play or something like that. What was his recruitment like? Was he always a baseball kid through and through? From the time he was young, did he bother playing any other sports or anything?
No. So my son.
And you only have 2 kids?
Yeah, 2 kids. Yeah, my son. Like I said, when I had my kids, when we had our kids, and I didn't want them to play baseball or softball. I lived that life. My whole family lives that life, and it's we call it's a heavy jersey to wear, when you're a Salinas, because the legacy my dad has left. My brother played at University of Texas, played 8 years of professional baseball. My sister played at Tarleton State softball. I played at A&M-Kingsville, played some professional baseball. We've had a lot, there's a lot that we've done as a family, but it hadn't been easy. It hasn't been easy. It wasn't easy playing for my dad. It wasn't easy, being a Salinas, because everybody wants to strike you out, right? Everybody wants to make you look bad. Everybody's, it's you have the good and the bad. Some are rooting you on and some are not, and it's tough. So when I had my kids, I said, I don't want them to go through that. I didn't want them to be under that microscope. You know what I mean? And like, you can't be okay. You have to be really good, because, your grandpa is, a legend. And so I didn't want that for them. And when I had no plans. He would hang out at our batting cages, my son, when he was 5, 6, 7 years old, just there picking up balls, messing around, but I hadn't put him in T-ball or anything. And I had a friend of mine, his name is Dickie Rodriguez. He came to the cages and he said, hey, we have a little 8U team and we'd like for your son to play. And I said, no, don't worry. No, he's, don't worry about it. He doesn't know how to catch. He barely hits off the tee. Don't worry about it. He goes, no, they bring him out and we'll let him play. And he goes, and the team we have is really good. And I go, well, that ain't good, because he is not good. I don't want him to play baseball. And he goes, I'll put him at catcher, coach pitch. All he has to do is chase the ball and throw the ball back.
Yeah.
And that little team was they won the T-ball World Series or something. So I go, okay. So we went out there and they put him at catcher and he couldn't catch, and all these other kids could catch. And all I was doing was training that little team, but my son couldn't catch. And as long as they didn't have a problem with it, I was good with it. And we started going to these tournaments, and there would be a play at home and they couldn't throw it home because he couldn't catch the ball. And so all of a sudden parents were getting mad. Like, you know, we're the national, I mean, we're the champions, World Series T-ball champions, and he can't catch. And so I told Dickie, I said, hey, no big deal, man, Dickie, we don't have to play. Like, don't worry. I'll still train the team, but don't worry. I'm not getting offended by this. I said, I told you he couldn't catch. Like, this is not a surprise. And he goes, no, you know what? Those couple parents that are complaining, they can leave if they don't like it, right? And I go, no, I told him, like, no, don't worry. So those parents ended up leaving. They ended up leaving, and they went to another, little team that was pretty good. And he just all of a sudden started catching the ball a little bit. We started playing catch, and the next year, shoot, man, he was starting to catch the ball, throw the ball, and it just started. It started becoming, like, hey, we're in this now. I didn't want to get in this, and it started evolving, and then high school came. Well, yeah, high school came, and his freshman year, him and my nephew, MJ Rodriguez, same age, freshman summer, going to be a freshman. He had his first visit at A&M Corpus. Marty Smith called, and he said, hey, we want to get him on a visit. And I was like, are you serious? And he goes, yes. He goes, these two kids are going to be big time recruits. I want you to know we were the first people to recruit him, and be interested in him. So 8th grade, going into 9th grade, they take their visit to A&M Corpus. They get offered that, whenever they're ready, they can commit. And, it was like that. And shoot, after that, it got going. The recruiting got going early. And he made the area code team, which is a big deal. He made the area code team 3 years in a row, and that's like unheard of. And he from there, he went his visits. His first visit was Miami, the Hurricanes.
Yeah.
He visited Kentucky. We went to Vanderbilt for the area code tryout his sophomore year, and he was on the campus at Vanderbilt. And during the tryout, the assistant coach came over and goes, hey, you his dad? And I said, yeah. And they go, we want you to stay after the tryout, and we want to show you around. Corbin really likes your son. So, man, Marty was right. The recruiting started, and man, he was at Vandy, Kentucky, Miami, Mississippi State, Ole Miss. I mean, you name it. He visited North Carolina State, Duke. I mean, everybody. He had his pick of where he wanted to go to college. And here's a kid. I didn't want him to play at 7 years old. You know what I mean? But I keep coming back to that blood. My dad's blood, man, was, I mean, he gave us the baseball blood where it was. It's just, when you say it's God-given, they worked their butts off, but it was in the blood, it was really in the blood. And now you're seeing Trey's sons, Trey's sons are my brother's, he's a 9th grader. He's committed to the, Miami Hurricanes.
Yep.
And it's crazy how that works. His first visit was Miami Hurricanes, like my son. And, but he just, man, he fell in love. As soon as, he got there, he committed to Miami. And so it's just the bloodline and the path that our family has taken. It's just God. That's all it is. It's God's leading us. And you got, like I said, MJ, my Paula's son, he went to Oklahoma State out of high school. My son went to Oklahoma State out of high school. Trey's kids now, one of them Landon, he committed to A&M-Kingsville. He's a D1 player. He's just a guy that he wants to stay near home. So he's either going to be A&M Corpus or A&M-Kingsville.
Okay.
And so with me being over there, me being over there and MJ's over there, it kind of just all worked out perfect.
Yeah.
So it's going to be fun to see him grow there at A&M-Kingsville. And we've got some more in the pipe, coming down the pipe. We've got Paula's youngest son, which his name is Jakey, and he could be the best out of all of them. He's very good.
Well, he was there with us that one time when we did the video for your gloves.
Yeah, he was little guy.
Yeah,
he's now an 8th grader. But he's going to be he's a special player. And then my sister, her name is Brenda Pequeño, and she's got her son who now he's 11 or 12. And I think every other game he hits a home run, like it's there. And I just wish my dad was here to see all that, because he called it. Like he called it. My sister Brenda, her son, he's the youngest one. He would call him, he's my little slugger. Like he's gonna be the slugger, and I was like, how do you know, Dad? And sure enough, he is. And to see all these kids, man, doing it, he put something in our heart, and we're just man, I can't quit talking about. It's amazing. I go with my mom and I'm like, Mom, he would have been, man, in hog heaven. And so I know he's up there, cheering him on. So it's really cool to see how it all came together. It's really cool.
Yeah. And especially how you were talking earlier, the Salinas name is not an easy name to be playing with when you're playing baseball and softball around here, but how everyone has kind of lived up to the name and made their own path for themselves and their own career, and now they're playing in college or whatever it might be. I wanted to ask about the baseball academy that you had. How did that come about, and how long was it up and running? Are you guys still doing anything in any capacity, or just kind of tell the story of that?
Yeah, in 1995, when we were at A&M-Kingsville and A&M Corpus, years before, we were doing a bunch of camps. And so in 1995, we started doing a lot of lessons, kids from everywhere, all South Texas were calling, either my dad, he was doing them, my brother, myself. At that time, Trey was at UT playing. And so all of a sudden, I remember my dad called me one day and he goes, "Hey, there's a building for sale by the university." And he goes, "And they're owner financing it, man. Why don't you look into it?" So I said, "You know what? Yeah, let me look into it." I looked into it. It was prime real estate, and it was going to be owner finance. It was a and what did they call it? It was like it was a place where senior citizens would go and stuff, and so like a center, and they were selling it. And our goal was, hey, you know what? We'll open an indoor training facility. At that time in the 90s, late 90s, there was no batting cages in Corpus. There was no academies. There was nothing. It was just year-round baseball. And my dad had started that. My dad was the pioneer of select baseball from here. Nobody, I don't know if these people know it now, but he started select baseball in 1986. And year-round baseball in Corpus.
Wow.
So when he came from Laredo, I played year-round because I played in Mexico and I played in Laredo. So when we moved back to Corpus, he said, "I want to do year-round baseball." And people looked at him like, "What are you talking about? There's football season, baseball season, basketball." He goes, "No, but what I want to do is I want to start winter instructional baseball. It's not just play. Use the winter time for instructional baseball, and let's teach them the game, and then they'll go into their spring season ready to go." So it started out as that winter instructional league, and then it took a mind of its own, and it became winter ball, and then it just kept on, and here we are years later, and how huge year-round baseball has been for us. I mean, we have big leaguers out of Corpus now, that are products of year-round baseball. And so it's really cool how he started, year-round baseball here in South Texas, and now we won't go without it. Like, it's year-round, all the time. It's year-round now, all over South Texas, and And so getting back to our academy, so I went ahead and bought that place.
What street was it off of?
Alameda. It's right next to the Oso golf course.
Really?
So yeah, so I bought it, and now they have a big I bought it, and then I got bought out. They built some school housing, for A&M
Okay.
Corpus Christi.
Okay, I got you.
So I think it's called the Islander or something, but it's a
Yeah, okay. I know what you're
complex
talking
now.
about. Yeah, okay.
And so I bought that place, and they had two dance halls. So we turned those dance halls into indoor cages, where we would have dances and quinceañeras and weddings during the nights when we booked them on the weekends. Then we turn them into cages, and
Wow.
And so it started there, and then it ended up. My dad was coaching A&M Corpus. I was his assistant, and we were doing both. And then I got bought out, and I went ahead and went and bought the grandstands, which is a 4-field complex. So I got that money. I went and bought the grandstands, and I started doing that. And my whole goal there was supposed to be for the select world. Like you had your leagues, your little leagues and stuff, but the select players, that was supposed to be their home, that's where they play, because these select players would get into the leagues and beat all the regular players up. It wasn't fair.
Yeah.
And so I bought the grandstands, and then it turned into we started having our slow pitch leagues and our baseball, and I wanted it to grow. I wanted my kids to enjoy that. And so I brought in some partners, and we put turf on the infields, and my kids were able to grow up there and enjoy it, and they benefited from it. They got college scholarships, and so did many other kids that came through there. And so then we sold that as a group, and now I went to A&M Corpus as an assistant, and now I'm the head coach at A&M-Kingsville. And so it's gone full circle, and here we are today, man. Just trying to. I'm leaving tomorrow to go recruit, and go find some players, and hopefully I make some girls, dreams come true. Girls that can play at this level.
Yeah. How long ago did you sell the grandstands?
It's probably been 3 years.
Okay, so pretty recently.
Yeah.
And then how did the A&M Corpus position, when you joined their staff, it was a volunteer assistant, right?
No, so at A&M Corpus, that came out of nowhere, and I always tell people that was my dad's doing, because he passed away, and then he passed away, and we were kind of in a funk as far as I was doing my academy, but I was struggling, and then A&M comes September of that year, school starts at the college, and the head softball coach, they call her Coach Z, she resigned. I mean, I'm talking school starts.
Yep.
She resigns, and she takes the volunteer assistant at OU. So she leaves them without a coach. They have an assistant there, a pitching coach. And Marty calls me and goes, "Hey, we need help. We have a girl here that said she only knows pitching. She knows no hitting, no fielding. She needs help, And he goes, "What do you think? Let's go eat lunch. Let's talk about this." And so we went to eat lunch, and I went with the other coach that was there, and we talked, and she goes, "Look, come on in. You run the offense, the defense, and it looks like we're gonna finish this year off, and then they're gonna hire a coach so we can hold the fort down. Would you do that?" And I said, "You know what? Yeah, let's go." So I got hired, and it was me and the other pitching coach. I got hired. I did all fall. I worked them out all fall, and then it was crazy because that pitching coach, she goes, "Man, we need one more helper. We need some more help." And I go, "Yeah, I'll get somebody else." So I called a buddy of mine, Corky Gallegos, who used to be, who was coaching at Moody. I mean, he's done a bunch of stuff here at South Texas. I called him and I said, hey, I need another coach, man. We need a coach over here. And they're letting me bring somebody in. I'd like to bring you in. And he was like, are you serious? And I said, yeah, I'm dead serious. So he comes in, he comes in, he helps out. And then they end up deciding that they're going to bring somebody in. Mm-hmm. And so instead of going the whole year, they let me run it till the end of the fall. And then they brought in Kathy Rodriguez. Mm-hmm. So me and Corky were like, we had already told the girls, hey, thank you for letting us work with you. We really had a good time. They brought in Kathy Rodriguez. And so we went to the press conference to see Kathy, meet her for the first time. We went to the press conference and she said, you guys aren't going anywhere. I want you to stay with us. I want you to help us. And so we ended up staying there, me and Corky, and that pitching coach ended up leaving. And it was Kathy and me and Corky, and her husband was helping. And so it just kind of fell on our lap, So then we ended up coaching with her that next semester. We ended up winning the most games they've won in the last 15 years. Yeah. So we ended up winning, over 25 games, and it was the most they had won in, like I said, in 15 years. And then the next year starts and she's excited, and man, we brought in some good recruits, and we're coaching. We're 10 games into the season, and I get a call that they did away with that whole coaching staff at A&M-Kingsville. Something happened, and 10 games in, they have no coaches at all. Mm-hmm. So I end up, applying. They called me and said, hey, would I be interested in? I said yes, and it just took a mind of its own, and I am coaching softball at A&M-Kingsville. But that's the story. The backstory is it all started because of Marty Smith's call to me going, hey, come and he even told me, he goes, you never know, you come, you might end up being the head coach at A&M Corpus, right? He goes, because they have nobody. And it looked like it was going to be for a year. And now I'm at A&M-Kingsville, and it's those are the programs. My dad was at A&M Corpus, and my dad was at A&M-Kingsville, and I was too with him. I was in the baseball side. So we've done some good things there at A&M-Kingsville now. We won 30 games this past year, and we're excited about the future. So it's taken a mind of its own, but we're really loving it. We're loving the softball side of it, and my sister Paula she's like, I can't believe this. You are, the head coach at A&M-Kingsville, and we're baseball guys. I said, yeah, no, and it's taken a mind of its own, and we're having a blast.
Did you take Corky with you to Kingsville?
Yeah, so that's another crazy deal because when I got the job at A&M-Kingsville, well, he was stuck under contract at A&M Corpus. And I had told Kathy, I said, I'm not taking Corky. Like, I'm not going to leave you like that. He's there. I need an assistant coach. I wanted to bring in a female girl, as my assistant. Mm-hmm. And I tried, and the assistant that I brought in, she came in for a couple of days, and she just was like, hey, this is going to be real demanding on my time. I mean, it's a lot. And I said, yeah, it is. It is. And she just wanted to step back and said, let me, I don't know if I want to do this, full time. So when she did that, then it opened up where they said, hey, you know what? Okay, bring in whoever you want. Mm-hmm. And as far as you can bring in a male or a female. And I said, okay. So I called Corky and I said, Cork, I need you over here. And he said, man, I don't think I can get out of my contract. So he went ahead and he was able to get out of his contract. And and they paid a little bit more, and man, he came over with me, and we haven't stopped. When we got into it, where we had one practice with the girls and a game the next day.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it just, we were off and running. And so the girls that we had there, we kept them there, and we saw them through the whole process. So this past year we graduated a lot of them. So this year is going to be 100% our team,
Yeah. And this will be your second full year there?
We're going on year 3.
Okay.
So the first year I came in with 10 games. We finished off. I coached 40 games there.
Okay.
So season 1, and then this past year we were full season. We ended up going 30-21. And then so now we're starting year 3, and it's gone so fast. It really has. And but we're just putting our head down and going to work, that's it.
Yeah. That's so funny hearing how everything just played out the way that it did, getting like the full details about it. Because when we initially met was when you first came to A&M Corpus, because that's when I was working there. And then we got to know each other some and talked about doing some video stuff for the gloves, which is a good segue. Let me pull my glove into the shot. Also, if you guys are watching, you've probably seen a cat in the shot. That's Daryl. He's one of our 3 cats here that my wife and I have. He's very social, so he kind of roams around. So forgive me for that. But all right, so you guys, you started making gloves. Kind of tell us about how that came about and the materials you guys use in the process, because this is some high quality stuff. I don't know how well you guys can see this, but some very nice branding. This is a custom glove that I had made for me in exchange for a video. So that was a sweet little deal that worked out really well. But I got it Texased out. I wish I would have done a little more red, not so much blue, but that's all right. I'll just have to get another one. But yeah, just kind of walk us through the glove business.
So the glove business, so when I went to play in Mexico, it's crazy because years before, when my dad coached in Brownsville and in Laredo, there was guys that would make gloves for him, and he would sell them out of the back of his truck because he was the college coach. So girls, guys, everybody would want gloves. So he was selling them out of the back of his truck. He'd go, I got 5 gloves here. You want a glove? They're made in Mexico. And then we went to Laredo, and same thing. We always had gloves there. They weren't with our name or nothing. They were just gloves made in Mexico, and he'd sell them. And then when I went to Mexico to play with Saltillo, there was a guy that would walk around the clubhouse, and he would tell all the players, like, hey, I'd make you a glove. I'll make you a glove. And I was like, you know what? Make me a glove. And I want my name on it, and I want these colors. And so, I had forgot about it. He comes back 2 weeks later, and he goes, here's your glove. And I was like, man, the workmanship was awesome. It was very well made, and we were the professional team there. So he knew he had to make high-level gloves for us, and some of the Mexican gloves are not very, high level, or they're not, the cuts and stuff are not really well made, it's not well cut and stuff. So when I saw the quality, I went, man, I got his number, and what I did is I came back home for the off season, and I called him, and I ordered like 10 gloves, and I said, man, you know what? I'm going to customize my own glove. I'm going to put our name on it. And so this was in 1996. So when I came up with the name, I came up with the logo, and it's called S3. And S3, it stands for Salinas 3. And that was for me, my dad, and my brother. So we're the Salinas, and it's, we're the Salinas family, and it stands for my dad, me, and my brother. And man, I was off and running, and I got my first batch in, and I couldn't hold them. 10 gloves, gone. Next order was 20 gloves, gone. Next order was 50 gloves, gone. And all of a sudden, I'm selling gloves. I can't keep up. I can't keep up with them. Then it became, I have 50 gloves on back order, 100 gloves on back order. And I just started this one guy turned into where he started just making them for me because it got to where my orders were bigger and bigger. And he was making them out of his house. He got his uncle to start making them for us too, his cousins. And it got to where like 7 or 8 houses were making gloves for me.
Wow.
And it got to where I was making gloves for big companies and putting their logos on them, like Baseball Express. I started making their gloves. Nobody knew, but I was making their glove with their logo. We just started selling them all over the country. I mean, literally all over the country, from Hawaii, every state in the United States, Dominican, Puerto Rico. It went crazy to where that was my full-time job, was selling baseball gloves, customized baseball gloves all over the country. And we still do that. But that glove, like S3, we had gloves in the big leagues. We turn on ESPN and the pitcher was throwing with our glove. Infielders were playing with it. One of our local big leaguers, JJ Trujillo, when he was going up in the minor leagues and then he made the big leagues, he used my glove. And I've got a picture. He's on ESPN pitching and he's got, my S3 glove. Mike McClendon, my boy, got called to the big leagues and he had my glove on ESPN,
Man.
I thought I was going to get it with Jesse Garcia. So Jesse Garcia out of Robstown, he was a middle infielder.
Went to San Jack.
Yeah, went to San Jack. And no, he went to Baytown Junior College.
Okay.
And then he made the big leagues. Jesse Garcia used my glove in the minor leagues. And then he got to the big leagues and I was like, oh man, I'm fixing to have another glove in the big leagues. But when he got there, Rawlings and some other glove companies offered him like $5,000-$10,000 to use their glove. Well, he went and got some money because he was just a rookie. And but I've had other big leaguers, use it in the bigs, and so a glove that came from Corpus Christi, we ended up Little League World Series. We've done it all. We've had a lot of big names use it and like it, and so I did it for close to 30 years, customizing gloves, and we still have that company. And with me taking over the job at A&M-Kingsville, my son and we still are putting custom orders in, and so it's taken a mind of its own. But that's the brand. And Salinas 3. We customize gloves, and the leather is of the highest quality. It's like the Rawlings Heart of the Hide, or we just made it for the high-end user. It wasn't made for it's made for the little leaguer if they want a serious glove,
Yeah.
But it lasts a lifetime. And I've got people that send me pictures. They have kids now that are using their glove and it's 20, 30 years old and the glove is still in great shape. But I'm really proud because the logo S3. It's for my dad and my brother and me, and so it's been a cool ride, even with our glove company. It's been fun.
Yeah. And so you said you guys still take orders?
Yeah. So we still got orders, and we're making gloves. And man, I've had some cool stories and some sad stories. Like during COVID, people were ordering gloves because we were at home, right? And they were like, okay, this is a good time, custom glove. And man, I was ordering all kinds of gloves, and I remember a couple of guys, dads called me and they ordered gloves for their sons. And when they came in, I couldn't get a hold of them, right? And I'm like, man, they're not answering the phone. And then it turned out a couple of those dads got COVID and they passed. And I went and found their families, because I just had the dad's number.
Yeah.
And it was cool because I went to their house and I gave the son the glove, and I was like, I showed him the texts that we were going back and forth, me and the dad, and I went, this was for you. And knowing that the dad had passed, these are some of the stories that this glove, our Salinas gloves, have taken us on, is that we're a part of that family like forever, you know, and that kid is using it. And but man, we've had some really cool stories, but those were some that stuck out. That we give gloves to kids that can't afford it, you know, and to be able to give a kid his first glove. Man, we do that every year during Christmas and stuff, and we want to give back, you know, to the community, and the gloves have made it possible, you know.
Yeah. Wow. Those are awesome stories. Okay, so if someone wanted to order one, what do they do? What do they?
No, all they got to do is what we can do is maybe we can give them the we have an Instagram, you know. I'll get an Instagram. We can post that. Salinas Gloves, S3 Gloves. We can post something and get a number there. They can go and look at them.
For sure.
And our Instagram, we're there. And I just, like I'm telling you, we stand by our gloves. I mean, we always would say, hey, if something happens to your glove, a lace breaks, you give us a call and we'll replace it, you know. And it's just a cool, you know, adventure we've gone through with the gloves and the coaching and helping South Texas, man. You know, it's come full circle.
Yeah. We'll link the Instagram for the gloves in the description, but it's also S3, that's the number 3, letter S, number 3 .gloves on Instagram. And if you're watching, I don't know how well you guys can see that, but that's the page right there. But we'll link it so that way anyone interested can check it out. And I mean, there's really no limit to the customization. So
you can do whatever you like. Whatever you can dream about, we can make it.
Yeah. I have some friends up in Central Texas in Buda that I was with them last Friday, and we were playing catch, and I've shown them my glove like 3 or 4 times, and they're like, man, we need to get one of these. And they're twin boys. They're going into 7th grade. They're gonna be good.
They're really good players.
Yeah, they're really good.
Yeah.
So it'll be exciting. They're from here too.
They are.
Their families are from here, and I think they were born here, and then they real young. They moved back. They moved up there, but they're considering coming back. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but there's a slight chance they come back. So stay tuned for that name.
So then the recruiting starts.
Yeah, exactly.
Where is he going?
Exactly. One of them's a pitcher, the other's a catcher. So it works out. But man, I feel like we've touched just about everything. That's crazy that you guys, your family started Select Baseball. Y'all had the indoor cages first. Y'all had the glove company.
Academy.
That is crazy. I remember when I was first getting into Select Ball in like 2009, 2010, the first few years that I was playing against this S3 Academy. Had the nice uniforms, and you know, you look good. You're intimidating to other teams that are from. I was, you know, from Mathis, and our team was like Mathis, Orange Grove, and some of the other small towns, right? So we're just getting together. We're wearing like t-shirts, dry fits, and we see these nice red and white uniforms, right? This S3 branding, like, oh, they're an academy. Like, oh man, like, ooh, what are we in for today? Like, these guys are gonna be good. But that's really cool hearing all the backstory about it, how it came about, and all that stuff. But yeah, that's a really storied family that you guys are.
Yeah, you know, people don't know is my dad was writing a book.
Really?
Yeah, he was writing a book, and he didn't get to finish it. And so I know that my older sister says she wants to continue that, you know, that book to finish it. But he had a publisher, and everybody was helping him, and he was writing a book and putting all his you know, the memories and all of the players, and it's that book. It's sad, and you know, to think that he didn't finish it, but man, he's got pages and pages of writing. You know, he would sit there and write. That's what he was doing up to his, you know, his last days. And so yeah, he has a lot of players, ex-players that they still email me, text me, and check how I'm doing. And they miss him, you know, and I think as a coach, the way you know you did a good job is at the end of the day, when there's big moments in your life, you know, you have a wedding, or you had a kid, or you got, you know, special moments, and you call your coach, you know, and you tell him, hey, I'm getting married, come over, you know. And
yeah.
those were things that were automatic with my dad. And that's when you knew he made his mark, you know. He made his mark. You know, and for me to see my sister and my brother doing the same thing, it's tough. It's tough when you're a coach, because, you know, you're sometimes you're the bad guy, right? Because only 9 can play, and man, if you got a team of 30, 9 are playing, and you know, and you got 21 of them that are on the bench, you know, and so they're either going to be happy or sad, or, you know, and so to be able to juggle that and make an impact on so many kids. I think at the end of the day, these kids realize, like, he gave me an opportunity to play at the collegiate level that nobody else did, you know. And I want, that's what my goal is for our girls, is to realize, like, it's an opportunity, you know, that you're getting. And sometimes it doesn't always go like the way you want it to, but man, you got an opportunity. The door was open for you, you know. And we are, you know, you're able to get an opportunity to play at the collegiate level, and you can say that for the rest of your life, you know, and that's a big deal. So yeah, no, it's our family legacy is, I wish my dad could have done the book to tell the full story, you know. And but maybe, who knows, one day we'll have that book, it'll be finished, you know? That's really cool.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Look forward to that, hopefully.
Yeah.
I think probably the last thing I've got for you, as a college coach, what is the best piece of advice that you would give, not just to softball players, but to baseball players? And I guess it can be said to any high school athlete, but from the coach's perspective, what are some of the most important things that you're looking for from the players, but then also from the parents potentially?
You know what? That's a great question, because nowadays, I was talking to another coach, and I said, the kids are different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not like back in the day, when you would tell a kid to go through the wall and they wouldn't ask you a question. Nowadays, they want to know, like, why? Like, that wall's hard. What do you want me to go through that wall for? You know, and they ask a lot of questions, and it's a different player. And the one thing I can tell you that I'm doing is I'm learning a lot every day with the new generation of kids, and how they think and how they learn. And you know, COVID threw a curve at us too, and it changed a lot of, you know, things. I get it, but I'm looking for not just good players. I'm looking for good parents. If their parents are good people and understand, you know, and understand that there's going to be a lot of ups and downs, and they can kind of keep their kids' head, you know, level, and understand that. But it's, if the kid is great and they have bad parents, you know, and they're screamers, and they're, you know, the first thing out of their mouth, if they tell me, like, well, yeah, the high school coach, she's not any good, and this and that, that just right there, it kills it for their kid. Because I'm like, well, I'm the next coach that's going to coach your kid, so I'll be the one coming out of your mouth, you know. And that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking to build a good culture, a good group of kids that can play, that are high level, high skilled, and that are real appreciative of the opportunity, you know. And so, and at the same time, that they're hardworking. So they've got to be hardworking. I mean, you know, when we go after kids, if they've got a personal trainer, or they're just a kid that's always outside working and trying to improve and chasing a dream, we want you, you know, because that's the culture that we want to build. You know, we feel like we're going to outwork everybody, but if we have 9 girls that are coming after you every inning, and they have an attitude of gratitude, you know, and they just understand the ups and downs, and they can handle failure. It's tough, man. It's this day and age, players, they have a hard time with that. You know, the game of failure, which is softball and baseball.
Yeah.
It can beat you up. And if you can't handle that, then the game will make you go crazy, man. This game is tough, and we've all been there. And that's why I tell people I'm a player. I was a player where I struck out 3 times, and the next game I struck out 2 times, and all of a sudden I'm 1 for 20. And the only thing you can do is get back on the saddle. You can't let it snowball. So the sooner my kids, the girls that I go after, the sooner they can handle failure, the sooner they're going to get on that field. You know what I mean? Like it just beats you up to where you got to handle hard well. You know what I mean? And so I the other advice I would say is that when I go to recruit, I'm going to a tournament tomorrow. There's 80 teams there. 4 fields, 5 fields. There's games going on everywhere. There's no way I can see everybody. Yeah. Right? There's no way I can see everybody. But I can go to a field and I can be at that field for 2 innings. And there's always 1 or 2 girls that stand out like a sore thumb. Yeah. And what are they doing to stand out? For one, they have a presence about them that they make people around them better. Like just people play better around them. And you're like, well, how do I do that? Well, it's going to come with a person that just absolutely loves softball. And you can see it, like it just radiates, you know what I mean, off them. And they've got to have that presence that says there's no other place in the world I'd rather be than on this field. And it comes out. The kids that are like, it just radiates with them. And you look at them and you're like, man, they look good. They throw good. They throw confident. They're always pumping up their teammates. And they're ballers. You just go, she's a baller. Like they stand out. And so you need to find a way to radiate that energy where you go, I want to stand out in the crowd. I really do. And it's not by pouting, and it's not by, you take strike 1 and you look at your mom over there, or your dad, and you're like, be quiet. And, and it's all of that. That ain't the answer. And so we're going this weekend. We're going to look at some girls that stand out in the crowd, and hopefully we just keep on loading up our stable of players, but yeah, parents, the advice that I would give you guys is get your kids as good as you can get them. Like go get them help, go get them some training, find out if you're an infielder, go find out your best infield instructors in your area. Go get help. Hitting coaches, strength training guys, girls, go get stronger. That's a big deal. Everybody's skilled up here in South Texas, but they're not all strong, and they can't handle the demand of collegiate baseball or softball. So go and work and get the help that you need so that you can make your dream a reality and playing, at the collegiate level. But you never know who's watching. You never know who's watching. And I say that because I was recruiting a girl and I really liked her. And I went the next morning back to that same field because she was going to play at 8 a.m. She didn't know that I drove up and I said, oh man, there's that girl I like. And she's getting out of her car with her mom. And she cussed out her mom. Ooh. Getting her bag, and her mom was trying to help her with the bag, and she cussed out her mom saying, just give me my dang bag, and cussed her out, gets her stuff and walks to the field. And then she sees me there and she's like, hey coach. But I had already seen what she told her mom, and I didn't recruit her. So after that day, I didn't go back and I didn't recruit her. And I just said, if you can talk to your mom like that, then you're not made for my team, and my family. So it matters wherever you're at. You treat people right, and you respect the game, and you never know who's watching, to give you an opportunity.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. There's your piece of advice, parents. So take that, share that with your kids. I thought of one last thing: the gloves, baseball and softball gloves you guys make, right? Okay, so there you go, baseball glove,
even
or
youth
softball
gloves,
glove.
even for little kids. We custom. What's really cool is you can customize a glove and put their name on it, and you can put their date of birth on it, and like this was their first glove. These gloves will last forever. It'll eventually turn into a keepsake, and you'll look back on it and go, look at his little glove, and so yeah, there's so many things you can do with the glove. We even make gloves for souvenirs, we can get your name, put it wherever you want. We could put, your logos. We can put the cross, sign of the cross, whatever you need to put on to make it your special glove. And but yeah, so we're super excited about where we're at right now as a family, and we're coaching and we're helping kids at the same time. If they're looking for a glove, shoot, give us a call.
Yeah, there you go, everyone. You heard it here. You just got the inside scoop on the history of the Salinas family in South Texas, and a lot of fun stories mixed in there. And if you need a glove, you know who to reach out to. If anything, you can reach out to me and I'll connect you guys, or whatever it may be. But man, is there anything else that you would like to add? Anything at all?
No, I mean, I do want to thank you for letting me come on and tell the story. I think the new generations, they don't know a whole lot of the story.
Yeah.
Our older veteran, players and families in South Texas, they do. And I always say that, I don't want my dad's, spirit or legacy to die, so I'm happy that you're, let me come on and tell his story and our story as a family. And I want you to know that we take a lot of pride in helping our South Texas players, and seeing them do well. I mean, the other day, Jose Trevino and Nick Lofton are playing in the big leagues. They're playing against each other, and
yep.
Jose Trevino, he would come with his dad had a team, and they were 7 and 8 years old, and they were at my academy. They would come and we'd work them out, and his dad was a coach. Jose was 7 and 8 years old, and Nick Lofton played with my brother Trey's team when he was little. And to see them, they're in the big leagues, and it's really cool. But South Texas, we're super proud of the softball and the baseball, where it's at, and it's only going to get better. Yeah. So, man, hats off to Weslaco for winning a state championship in Calallen. I can't wait to see what, the coming years bring. Yeah. South Texas.
Yeah, it'll be fun. And like you said, on the younger generation not really knowing a lot of the family history and the stories and background, I knew a lot of pieces of that, but now I can put it together, right? I knew this part about it and this part about it, and he started this program and that program and the academy, but now it all makes a lot of sense. So hopefully a lot of the younger players out there, and even just, people who have been around but aren't quite familiar with the story and everything, can piece that together and make a lot of sense and really have that appreciation for you guys as well. But yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap it up, man. I appreciate you making the time to come on. I'm sure this isn't the last time we'll have you on. We'll get you on again sometime, and we'll talk some more, softball, how you guys have been doing and stuff like that. But in the meantime, stay tuned for the next episode. We're hoping to have some college guys on in the summer, in the off season, if they're not out playing summer ball or when they get back. So stay tuned for that. And obviously always trying to get just as much information out there for you guys as possible. So Javier couldn't make it today. He had to work. He's been doing that a lot lately, so maybe he deserves a day off or something. But thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate all of you, and we're excited for another summer and fall of some baseball and softball. And we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Coach, thanks again.
Hey, thank you so much.